Welcome back, guys. I am really excited for today's video because it's going to be part 2 of my favorite shades in my favorite palette, but this time we're going to do mattes. I had so much fun with that video, and it looks like you guys did too, so I'm really excited to show you guys my favorite matte shades in my favorite palettes. I love going through a palette and finding a unique shade with a unique undertone, something you don't see very often. It gets me super excited. And I love a good shimmer. I'm all for like all the special shades that are out now, like the multichromes, duochromes, holochromes. It is a good time for me. But for me personally, a look is not complete without the mattes. That's the foundation, the base. I love mattes. I love blending and putting colors together that are unique and just fun. But if you guys are interested in seeing some of my favorite mattes and some of my favorite palettes, then just keep watching. If this is your first time here, my name is Heather. I love all things makeup, especially colorful makeup. I mean, my lipstick today is probably not everyone's taste, but I love it. It's really unique, giving me fall Halloween vibes, and I'm here for it. But like I said, I love colorful makeup and indie brands. And if you guys love those things too, I really hope you will stick around, subscribe, and don't forget to click the little bell so you can be notified of all my future uploads. I do have a lot of fun stuff coming in soon if UPS or USPS will get their crap together. Our giveaway is going to be happening very soon with the video of Amanda doing my makeup. I've been waiting on a package to come that has a lot of the stuff that's going to be in that giveaway. So that's why I still haven't had it yet, but I saw that it should be here tomorrow. So fingers crossed, but let's go ahead and get into these palettes. There are some good ones here, and there's like 35. I can't remember exactly because I pulled all of these out yesterday, but we have a lot to get through, and I'm super excited to start swatching some stuff. So some of these, it's not necessarily about a shade as much as it is the shades that were paired together. Like, it's really hard because the makeup area is really oversaturated. So I feel like to come up with something that is a unique concept with a unique color story truly is precious. It's a gem when you find it. I just personally, I get so freaking excited, but it's the combos that get me. I love seeing the different pairings that people come up with. And that's what some things in this video will be, but there are some really like unique shades as well. I'm really excited to dig in. So the first palette I want to talk about is the Wizard palette. And I'm pretty sure I brought this out in the other video too because of this shade right here. Oh, I just love it so much. But the thing about this one that really gets me is this blue and yellow together. I never considered pairing these two shades together, but when I did, it was magic. I love this palette so freaking much. I cannot wait to pick up more from this brand. I think it's beautiful, but these blue shades are some of the best blues that I've worked with, and I am a sucker for a pastel yellow. I mean, these are like so buttery soft and just so pigmented and beautiful. Like, look how bright that shade is. It's just absolutely stunning. And I mean, they really don't disappoint with the pigmentation, but I just love this freaking palette, and I think they did such a good job. So this next one, it really is about a specific shade, which it's the Blooming Baskets by DEDE Signature. This is the first palette I tried from that brand, but I love the color story of this palette. But the shade that really made me want to pull it out is this shade down here called Tulip Blossoms. It is so beautiful, and the undertone is so unique. And I really hope that it comes off on camera the way it does in person. But it's got like this grungy green like tone to it, and it's so freaking gorgeous. Swampy. I love greens and I love yellows. I love grungy eyeshadows as well. I do have a ranking my grungy eyeshadow palette video as well, and if I remember, I will try to link it down below in case you guys are interested. But the next one, this shade in this palette is so freaking special. It's the Moonshroom palette, and as you guys can tell, I freaking love mushrooms, but there's a few things about this palette that I really love. Well, a lot of things, actually. My mom keeps calling me and I'm trying to film. Well, I don't even remember where I was at. My mom kept calling back to back, and I had to go call her on Amanda's phone. But anyway, I know I was talking about this palette. So one of the things I love like about this one is this top row. I love these like mustardy, grungy, dirty, swampy colors. They make me so happy. But specifically, this shade right here, I don't have anything like this in my collection. It's called Pixie Pop, and it's so beautiful. I love it so much. It's like the most gorgeous, vibrant, bright periwinkle I have ever seen, and it makes me so happy. It's been a long time since I've used this palette, actually, and I would love to get more use out of it, but I think it's beautiful, and I had so much fun with it. Okay, so the next few palettes I have are from Bella Beauty Bar. You guys know they are one of my absolute top favorite brands. But first, I wanted to talk about the Basic Witch. Listen, you guys are going to hear me talk about a lot of mustard shades. And, you know, we got one right here. But I also love this green shade down here. The undertone of it is really gorgeous. But, like, these mattes are so buttery. Like, even compared to this Lunar Beauty palette I swatched, I do like Lunar Beauty's formula, but they're not my favorite. Theirs is like more dry, and this one is just so buttery and rich and pigmented. Those are like one dip finger swatches, which is so freaking incredible. But just look at the undertones of those. I just think they're so freaking beautiful. I'm so excited to hear what some of your guys' favorites are. With the shimmer video, you guys had some really cool ones too, some that I have as well. And someone made the comment like they liked the video because it made them like look at their palettes of the ones that I did mention, and they get to pull them out and see the shades and give them like a second chance and see them basically through new eyes. And I think that's so true. I've done that as well with reading your guys' comments. So I'm excited to hear some more. But the next one, you guys know I've raved about the Recently De-Influenced. I love this palette, but more mustards and oranges. The undertone of this shade right here in the corner. I love the mustard too, so we're going to swatch both, but they are so beautiful. My hand's wet from wiping off those other swatches, but they are so beautiful. Like, oh my God. The undertone of this orange is so unique and beautiful. And I have another palette where I really love the undertone of some oranges too, and it's from Unearthly, and I'll get to that in a minute, but those ones are really good. Well, next I want to talk about Secret Garden. I love this palette. It's one of my favorite palettes of the year. I can't wait to do that ranking, but it's going to be so hard, like ranking all the palettes I've tried this year. But my favorite shade in this palette is this shade right here. It's so bright. Water Lily. I don't have anything else like it. It's kind of hard for me personally to describe because, you know, I'm not good at describing colors, but it's like so vibrant. It's like a bright, vibrant pastel lime. It's so beautiful. Like, I bet these two in the crease with this Water Lily shade in the inner corner, it's very unexpected, but that might actually be a really good eye look. But I think this is so freaking beautiful. I love it so much. I also really love this shade here, Thistle. This is one of the most beautiful, bright, like Kelly green shades I think I've ever seen. It makes me so freaking happy. Like, look at that. It's so stunning. I've had so much fun with this palette. I've created so many looks. And, you know, this is one of those palettes that I dip into often. And I've had a lot of fun with it. You could tell it's like heavily used. It's one that I pick up even when I'm not filming, and I love it. So the next one I want to talk about is from BLENDBUNNY. And honestly, it's really like the whole palette, the vibe, and it's the Longing palette. And when I open this and look at it, it feels like Longing to me. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I don't know. It's like, it's so beautiful, and all the cool tones. It's so smoky, and the undertones of the shades that she picked are so freaking stunning. I love so many of them. One of my favorites is this shade up here called Whoa. But you know when like you hear a sad song on a violin and you just know that it was written by somebody that's like been through some stuff. Like, look how pretty that is. So beautiful and bright. Even, I don't know, but you know what I mean? You can just tell. To me, when I see this color story, I see the longing in it, and it's, as much as Longing sucks, it's still beautiful, and I just think she did such a spectacular job. But it's the color combos. These like swampy greens in this row, and then you've got this row of cool tone neutrals mixed with these purples and the grays. It's just such a breathtaking color story. I'm so excited to have this one. I'm here for it. Some of you guys mentioned the Lure palette. I really want that one. But another one I want, because of the mattes specifically, is the All Done Up. I think that palette is so gorgeous and grungy, and I would love to get my hands on it. I'm hoping I'll be able to do some shopping for Black Friday, but we'll have to wait and see. But I want to get some stuff from some of my favorite brands. So next, let's do some Unearthly. Unearthly is, to me, is known for their like unique, grungy, gorgeous color stories. I can't wait to get the Gargoyle palette in, but one of my favorite palettes from them is the Daily Grind. I love this palette so freaking much, but the mattes, I love every matte in this palette. They are all like unique, and some of my favorites. This green right here is so freaking gorgeous. I think she said in a live that she's going to discontinue this one eventually. So I would pick it up. I'm telling you, it's so freaking good. Only if you really like the color stories, and I mean the color story, and you really love like all the shades in it, then you will be so in love. Like if you see this and you're like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Trust me, you will love it. It does have like the new shimmer formula in it too, and it's so freaking good. Honestly, I can't remember if I pulled this out in my last video, but if not, I should have. But my favorite shade in this palette is this one down here called Hustle. But we are going to swatch them all. Like, why not? Look at those. Honey, she's beautiful. So beautiful. Oh, I love them. I love them so much. Orange is one of my favorite shades to wear, but do you just see how rich and pigmented those are? And honestly, like, they blend so easily. Like, do you see that? How easy that just blends down? It's fantastic. But let's do the green as well. And the undertone of this green is perfect. But it's the way that she paired the greens. Hold on, that looks yellow on camera. But you guys saw on the pan, it's totally not. There we go. but it's a green, but it has a very like yellow base to it. It's so gorgeous. I just think Amanda is brilliant with her color stories. That's why I love Unearthly so much. And I love the Laura palette for very similar reasons. The shade Fawn and uh Centaur, I think. And then we have Minotaur. It's the pairings for me. But Fawn is beautiful. It's kind of like a mustard yellow too, but it has really pretty like shimmer particles in it. Or maybe mine does because this palette is very heavily used as well. Like this is like an orange and mustard lover's freaking dream. Look how beautiful. And let me say, if you have the Daily Grind and Lure, these go so well together. I mean, okay, like you could do the green in the inner corner, like on the first part of the lid. And then which orange? Maybe this one, which is the shade Centaur, I believe. No, this is from the Daily Grind. It is the shade Grind. You could blend it out. You could blend this shade out with that or even that one. And then pick which shimmer. I would do personally a little bit of like Sphinx on the lid. And then like the front half do Ambition. Because that green shade is so freaking stunning. But you can't tell me that would be such a freaking gorgeous Halloween look. I may have to recreate that. At least like for a short or something, because I think that would be so fun. But I love this one. And I have to mention Fairy Frolic. I mean, this one is so good. Look at the undertones of the mattes in this palette. My favorite is Eden. I don't have another green like this one. Snapdragon is such a gorgeous mauve. And then the mustard shade Fern. Those are my favorite in this one. Now, this one does have the older shimmer formula, but I love that one too. I will say the new one is better. It's like more reflective, but I do like that one as well. But look at them together. Oh, they are so perfect. Honestly, you could probably almost create this eye look with this palette. It wouldn't be exact, but it would have similar vibes. And this eye look I created today with Spring Magic. I didn't film it, but I used Herbalist and Blossom in the crease, and I blended Blossom out with a little bit of Flourish like in the inner part. And then I did this gorgeous multi-chrome Mystic. Like, do you see it? It's so pretty. I did that on the outside half of the lid. And one of you guys told me you loved Sunshine. And I did that on the front part. And that's why I use this palette today, because of your comment. And I'm happy that I got to pull it back out. But my lip combo, might as well tell you, is the Unearthly Satin Lipstick in the shade Yummy. And then I tapped Mystic in the center with a little bit of Sunshine, like in the center of that. And I mean, it's a little kooky, but I think it's cute. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. I love the Fairy Frolic. I hope she redoes this one. There's a few of the older Unearthly palettes I really want to pick up, like Dead of Night, In the Dark. They're gorgeous. So next, I wanted to mention High Temp. I did get this one in PR. I was so excited. I'm still excited about it, but the packaging on this palette is freaking gorgeous. But I love so many of the mattes in this palette. I should have mentioned this shimmer shade, and even though this isn't about that, oh, and Muggy. I'm going to go ahead and swatch these for you guys too. I have to. They're so good. Look, that's one finger swatch. Is that not freaking crazy? It's so good. I need to get another wipe. It's so good, but I'm going to show you 3 of my favorite mattes in here. You guys already know I'm obsessed with the mustards. So Summery is so good, but these 2 shades right here and this freaking matte red, you are not even ready. Let me dry my hands and I will show you. Oh, and the orange fiery is really good too, but okay, we're going to do the matte. Do you see that? Isn't it so freaking good? Do you see how like vibrant and bright that is? And I do have sensitivity to some like reds and pinks and purples, and I do not with this palette. So if you like suffer with that issue too, then that's good for you to know. Okay, bright is like the most beautiful like banana pastel shade. It's so beautiful and so like just opaque. Oh, I love it. And then we have warm, which is the one under it. This is like a really light pink, but it has like this slight yellow undertone to it. I don't even know if you guys can, there, you could see it like that. It's so beautiful and just gorgeous. It was honestly such a genius like addition to this. All my palettes are falling over, but this palette just blew me away. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I just think it's freaking fantastic. I have tons of looks like throughout YouTube and Instagram with this one. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection, and it's the Don't Be Jelly. I love this so much, and one of my favorite shades in the whole world is this shade right here, Seafoam. I hope I brought this one out too. I don't remember because there's so many shimmers in this one I love. I don't think I could have missed that, but Seafoam is amazing. Look at that. It's so freaking delicious. Oh, it's so good. But another one is, this is like a blackened purple. It's called Sea Urchin. It's so freaking gorgeous. And it looks so freaking good with that shade Seafoam. They are beautiful together. Highly recommend if you guys have this one. They are stunning together. It takes a little work to be able to blend it out, but you could totally do like the purple as like your base shade and the outer part of the crease, and then like deepen up with Sea Urchin, then do Seafoam like in the inner part, and then the shade Brine, is that what it, yes, and then this one, which is called Hydrospace. I love Hydrospace. I know we already did shimmers, guys, but I have to swatch it. Oh, I want to play with this palette so much. I don't know if it will show up well, like where it's on this part of my hand, but it's so beautiful. Oh, yes, I just love it. I love it so much. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys, I do have a code with Unearthly and Bella Beauty Bar, and they are AOML. I know a lot of you already know, but in case you're new, I'll have it all like linked down below, along with all these palettes that are still available. So next, I had to mention Fall Magic. I love Unearthly's like fall and Halloween releases. I get so excited for them every year, but I love Fall Magic. I love so many shades, but out of the mattes, it's these two right here are my absolute favorite. Okay, the green one is Forage. Ew, I have eyeshadow under my nail. And the like more grungy brown one is called Spice, and it looks like literal pumpkin spice or nutmeg. But look at the undertones, and those are one finger swatches. They are just so freaking magnificent. I love them. I love them so much. They look so good together as well. And I'm gonna end up dirtying all my brushes, but these blend like so freaking well, even together. It's such an easy formula to work with. Love them. Okay, so the last one from Unearthly is DEVOUR. DEVOUR is one of my favorite palettes. It was my favorite, but now I think my two favorite are Daily, oh God. I think it's Daily Grind and the Don't Be Jelly, but I'm really into the High Temp as well. So it's kind of hard to decide, but I lost my freaking mind over this palette. My video on this is like back when I was doing like voiceovers and I wasn't talking in my videos because of my dental situation. But this palette is so freaking magnificent. This shade Trap is so good. But I love these two shades and I love them together. We have Snap, which is the green, and then the like wine shade is called Devour. And I think this color story, I got it all over my arm, is so freaking beautiful. And these two shades pair so good together. That's something I love so much about Unearthly, is they really like spark my creativity, and I come up with such fun color stories by just like their artwork on the packaging and the way they lay their shades in the palette and stuff. It just makes it so much more fun to play with stuff from them, at least in my opinion. Okay, so this next one I haven't even ranked yet in my like kind of monthly ranking, but I'm so freaking in love with this palette. Head over heels, fallen in love, smitten. I have a code with them too. It's AOML as well. But this color story is so good that I literally can't even stand it. I love every shade in here. I love every shade in here together. But my favorite shade in this palette is this one. It's so beautiful. I don't have anything like this either. Or either, but I love this freaking palette. I love it so much. And this is like so bright and beautiful. It's like an orange peach. It's called Orchid Orange, but it's stunning. And the multi-chromes are insane in here. This palette is so freaking good. My mom's been wanting to try multi-chromes, and I bought her like a lot of GLAMLITE palettes. She likes GLAMLITE, but I think I want to buy her these two palettes because they're good. But let me show you the one she like really wants. This one. And I mean, who could freaking blame her? I love Ensley Rain. This palette is what made me like fall in love. We already talked about Lava Lamp in the last video and in the comments. And Trippy. Oh, it's so good. But I love every freaking matte in here. The Sage shade is so good. It's one of my favorites. Foxy is so unique and gorgeous. Let me dry my hand and I will swatch these for you. Okay, so these are my three favorite mattes, and I think they're so beautiful. These two are a lot more different in person. I don't know if my light, you can see them. That's exactly how they look to me in person. But they are so freaking beautiful. And you know, I posted a short recently of a video I did. It was like a transition video where I like did that with my palette. But I did it with the Perfect Peach. But when I just swatched these out, I think if you have this palette, you could recreate that look, in case you guys were interested in trying to do so. I think you could do that with this one as well. This palette is so freaking good. If you love like grungy types of looks, this is going to be my best friend for fall. I'm super excited. It's going to be so freaking good. Anyways, let's get down to the last 10 palettes. I'm super excited. So I miss this brand. I think they're rebranding, but it's Ace Beauté, and this is the Ambiance palette. I love this color story so much. It makes me so excited for fall, but as much as I love these like grungy oranges and yellows up here, it's these three shades, especially paired together. Those three shades sold me this whole freaking palette. It's so good. So we have the green, which is called Bustling. And I love the undertone of this. It's like so freaking grungy and swampy and gorgeous. And then we have Mystical, which is so beautiful. It's like a burgundy. And those two paired together are everything. I miss this brand. I hope they like release something soon, because I really miss their releases. I don't have a lot from them, but it wasn't because I didn't want it. I love their formula. It's their new formula, but I just couldn't afford to pick it up at the time, so I didn't get to. There's a lot that I missed out on, but I think their formula is beautiful. Their color, they're like really, really, really good at coming up with fun color stories. So now that I can afford to get a few more things than what I used to be, well, more than a few, but I can afford to actually pick up palettes more now than I could before. I would like to delve more into this brand, and I want them to freaking come back. If anyone knows anything about them coming back, please let me know. I would really appreciate it. But I have 2 more brands left. And one brand that I had to bring up is Cosmic Brushes. So I love the freaking Wonderland palette. I'm a sucker for blues and purples, especially together, but I think they did such a freaking fantastic job on this palette. I would love to get a code with this brand. I love them so much. They're one of my favorites, but there's quite a few shades that I really love. I love this bright blue, but Crisp is one of my absolute favorites, and so is Cold and Calm. They have such a gorgeous, well, more than anything, it's going to be Crisp and Cold because of the undertones. They are very special. I love the pastel mint, but these 2 colors paired together are freaking everything. And if you have this palette or you have something like in your stash that you can pull out to create a look with these 2. See, on camera it's looking more blue, but in person it's more purple, but it has this really pretty like blue undertone. See, it's even looking blue there. I got nail polish like all up under my nails. I'm trying to shade this from the light so you could see it more true to color. It's just so pretty. I love this. But if you can like pull stuff out in your collection like that, those 2 go so well together. There's a lot more shades in this palette that I really love, but the next ones, there are a lot, and I love them more. So we're going to dive more into these. Serenity is named perfectly because this palette is freaking serene. There's so many shades in this that are so freaking unique. This shade up here, Earth, it's so good. The undertones in this palette are insane. Truly insane. I'm gonna look at that. It's so freaking, ooh, I just love it. It's so freaking swampy and gorgeous. And then we have Oasis. I don't know why I didn't bring out more BLENDBUNNY palettes because I know there are a lot of shades in those bigger rainbow palettes with really unique undertones that are gorgeous. I love them. What else? Let's see. And then we have Moss is beautiful. Oh, and Lagoon. Ah, I miss this palette. Lagoon is really pretty too. It's another one of those really gorgeous like green shades. But these are some of my favorites. Look how bright that bottom shade is. It's so freaking fantastic. I love this palette so much. And if you haven't gotten your hands on it yet, I really do recommend it, especially since the price point is so freaking good, considering it is an indie brand and it's a freaking fantastic formula. And I'm pretty sure it retails for around 30 bucks, which you guys know in the price point of indie brands at this very moment, that is super cheap, like even half the price. Yeah, I mean, even less than half the price. But the next one I wanted to talk about is Muse. Muse is so good. It's like a fairy freaking fantasy. I love it so much. It makes me so happy, but there are so many good shades. Rosewood is gorgeous, especially with this green right here. Filigree, and then Admire. This shade is really unique to my collection, but I also love Willow. This one, it's like it's almost gray, but it's more of a mint, but it has like that cool undertone to it. It's so beautiful. But let me swatch some of these. Look at Rosewood. That's one finger swatch. And then Filigree. This one I will have to dip back in. I didn't pick up enough. That one is so pretty. I don't know if I'm going to be pronouncing this one right, but it's Nuevu. It's this shade right here. That's such a unique shade to my collection. It's so beautiful. This is a really freaking good formula as well. Like, it blends like a dream. It's really easy to work with. This is a brand that I really am keeping my eye on. They are definitely a favorite up there. And I feel like their color stories are so good. They're so good. This is the shade Willow. It's so pretty as well. It's the one on the bottom. See, it's showing up more brown on camera, but it does have like a grungy green aspect to it. And when it next to that shade is gorgeous too. It's Water Lily. But the palettes that Cosmic Beauty do, they're the way that they place the shades in the palette are so appeasing to the eye. Like, it just, you can find so much I get too excited and then I like get lost and I can't figure out my words, but like, I get so inspired by a jumbled up color story like this. I see so many pairings and unique combos, and I just feel inspired and I want to create with them. They're palettes that I think about. Like, I've had this palette for a few years now, and when I think of a favorite, it still is like right there in the forefront of my mind. It's one that I will never forget. It's beautiful. And more recently, they did the Neutrals palette. I love the Cooltrals as well, but this palette is so freaking incredible. It's so good. You guys know I've talked like about swampy colors this whole video, but I mean, this is right up my freaking alley. I love the undertones of these shades, but again, it's not even about the undertones. It's about the placement of where she put the shades and what shade she put it next to, and the surprising shifts in the shimmers and all of those beautiful things. It's just such a freaking outstanding palette. She has a very good eye. So you guys might be wondering why I have a completely different look on. Well, that's because it's a different day. Unfortunately, my mic messed up again and I lost like 45 minutes of my footage. I was so freaking mad because I loved editing this video even. It was so fun. I love talking about freaking eyeshadow palettes, but I think the palette that it messed up on was me talking about neutrals, and I don't remember exactly where I left off, like when it cut out, but okay, I love this palette so much, and you guys have heard me ramble about mustard shades this whole freaking video, but I have to give it to the mustards again. I love this. It's so pretty, but I also really love this shade down here, Lust. So when paired with the neutrals, it looks more neutral, but when paired with the like more warm shades, like the yellows and stuff, it does pull more purple, which is so freaking beautiful. But again, like I mentioned earlier, it's like the color placement, like where they place each shade in the palette, I think is something that makes me really drawn to all of their releases. Hold on, I'm getting my wipes. It makes me really drawn to all of their releases. It's just makes the palette so much more fun. You can see so many really cool looks with it. It's just such a captivating brand, and they always leave me wanting more. I just love it. And something else that makes it really fun is the special shades, like the multi and duochromes, because it makes it to where you can really bring odd like color combos together and make them look good together by whichever shimmer you place on the lid. So to me, it's just fun. I love this brand and I love every freaking shade in this palette, but as I can tell by the parts of the video that I've already edited, we will be here all day if I try to do that. So another one that I was sad that got cut out was the Perfect Peach. I love this palette. This is by Gourmand Girls, if you are not familiar. I do have a code with them as well. It is AOML if you want to save some money. But I have done nothing but rave about this palette since it leapt into my hands. And I am just truly smitten by it. These peaches and the greens, it's the color story as a whole that really just brings me in. But pairing the peach and the greens together are genius. And I really love this shade up here because it's really opaque, but it's really light. It's a beautiful inner corner shade. But my favorite part about the palette are a few shades. So this shade right here, Peach Please, is one of my favorites because of the undertone and the way it looks when paired with the other shades. But I really love Peach Boys, Peach and Quiet, and Peach Out. So I'm going to swatch this for you guys. My favorite shade in the palette, though, is definitely the Shimmer Fuzzball, which you guys probably are so sick of hearing me talk about. But it's so freaking good. And I cannot wait to see what their Halloween release is going to be. I don't know what I haven't seen the color story yet, but I do know the theme. And it sounds like it's going to be really good. I think everyone's going to be excited. But I can't wait. The green is so beautiful. It's like an actual true green, which I don't have a lot of shades like that in my collection. So I really love this one. I think it's so beautiful. But look at all those shades together. They're so freaking yummy. They make me so happy. Okay, so I want to talk about the GLAMLITE palette. I originally had a few more in here, but I decided to take them out because they're good, but they're not like, you know, those shades that really make you excited. But I had to talk about the Garfield palette. It's so good. There's so many shades in this freaking palette I love. And I love that they put this gray in here with all these warm tones. I think that was such a fantastic idea. And it can create some really fun pairings within this palette. But one of my favorite shades is this shade right here called Weekends. It's like that Kraft macaroni and cheese shade. It makes me so freaking happy. And this is like the really, really good GLAMLITE formula. This is still my favorite palette from them. Like, look at that shade. It's so beautiful. But I really love Perfect Match as well. And it's kind of like that orange shade, like that grungy orange, kind of like what I have in the crease today, which what I have on right now is recently de-influenced. And you guys know, I'm pretty sure I already talked about it in this video even. It's so good. But I love a lot of the other stuff in this palette as well, like Mondays and Lasagna is gorgeous. This palette is awesome. I really wanted to put Longing in this because I love that palette, but it's more like the color story as a whole. But just know, I really do love that palette, and I think she did a fabulous job on it. But I had to mention the Ellis palette. This is a massive rainbow palette, but it's so much more than just a rainbow palette because the undertones in this palette are so freaking good, so unexpected and fun, and I've had so much fun with this. Really, I really love the top two rows, like as in the undertones. But my favorites from this are Fatal, Magnetic, and Specimen. So I want to show you guys those. But this is my, oh, and Abstraction. I'll have to do that one too, which is right beside it. It's like an army green. But this is my favorite BLENDBUNNY palette out of the rainbow ones only. My favorite, I think, is the Longing. It's so good. She really just outdid herself with that one. And those are the shades. Like, they look so much better in person. That bottom one is more green, but they are so pretty. This formula is a lot thinner than some of the others I'm used to working with. These ones are as buttery, but they're still good mattes. It's just, if you're used to that like thicker, buttery matte formula, it's kind of hard to learn to use a different formula. And it took me a while to realize that. But now that I understand that, I have gotten a lot more love out of my Blend Bunny palettes, if that makes sense. But the last brand I want to talk about is Odens Eye. I have quite a few palettes here. One of my favorites, well, it was my first favorite, and it was the Hella palette. I love this freaking palette because I love the overall color story again. But one of my favorite shades in this palette is one that's got huge pan. I also really love this shimmer down here, and it also has pan. But it's the shade Rebirth. I'm pretty sure I mentioned other shades like this throughout my collection. But it's like that pastel, like banana yellow. I just think it's stunning. It's so freaking bright and opaque and beautiful as an inner corner shade. I also really love all of these army greens and like the grungy greens, the yellow leaning greens. I could probably swatch every one of them, but since I've showed you 100 greens, you're probably sick of seeing them, because I'm also going to be showing you a green from this palette, which is the Trick or Treat. This was a collab with Angelica as well. It might even still be available. If so, I'll link it down below. But this shade Howl is one of my favorites, but these two specifically are some of my like most favorite mattes in this palette. And there they are. Like, look how freaking bright and vibrant this top shade is, Rebirth from Hella. But I just think these are so fun, so beautiful, so Halloween. I loved it when they released these last year. I was so freaking excited. I've had so much fun with these, and I can't wait to pull all of my Halloween and fall palettes back out. Same with these Christmas palettes. I love these. These color stories are so freaking fun. I think this one might be my favorite because I didn't expect it to be, but I love these two shades down here together. Like that yellow flip. It's so freaking gorgeous. I love the blue up here as well. And again, with this shade, I just think this palette as a whole is really good, but my favorite shade in the palette is this one. I'll just do like a small finger swatch so you guys can see, because again, with the yellows, you're probably like, girl, we get it. And then we have the Merry Christmas palette. Oh, this one is so freaking good. So there's quite a few shades. I love New Leaf, and it's like cool undertone. Best Wish, Gingerbread, Hot Cocoa is good too, but I'll do some of my favorites. And then Matcha Cookie is good. Even those two together, it's so unexpected. And then we have New Leaf, which is those three together. Oh, I love it. I love Gingerbread. I just think these are some of the best palettes they have ever launched, and they are so freaking good. I didn't pick them up during the first release. I got them last year when they re-released, and let me say, I had so much freaking FOMO over these palettes. I was so happy that we had the opportunity to get them again. But last, I want to talk about the SOLEMAN 2. My favorite shade in this palette is this yellow down here. It was one of a kind in my collection for quite some time, but now I do have it in a few palettes. I think 3, like that Garfield one I just showed you, and the Annette's Makeup Corner Mighty Monster has it as well, or it's very similar anyway. But this shade is so freaking gorgeous. I love it so much. It really does remind me of Kraft macaroni and cheese, which is such a random, weird thing. but I'm here for it. I love the weird. But that is it. Those are my favorite matte shades and some of my favorite palettes. I can't wait to hear what you guys are loving down below. So please let me know what your favorite shades are and your favorite palettes. I've already created some looks inspired by what you guys told me in the comments from the shimmers version of this video. And if you missed it, I will have it linked up in the cards and down below in my description box. I had so much fun with that video. I've been having so much fun in a lot of these little different types of videos I've been doing. Someone had the idea of doing like the worst shades. So now I'm thinking I'm going to do like palettes I loved, but type of video where I talk about palettes that I loved, but they had like a bad shade or something in the palette that kept the ranking lower. I think that would be a really interesting and fun video to watch. But thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way to the end. And leave me some emojis of your favorite colors down below. I would love to see what you guys come up with. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. But until next time, bye.